first of all, when we took the notorious wonder drug, LSD.
Welcome back, you beautiful beavers. Golga here, and you are looking at the first official Fortnite in Unreal Engine 5 gameplay. Now, obviously, I'm kidding. This is clearly Modern Warfare 2 third-person mode, which this is my first actual game and kind of first thoughts on the mode. And similar to Modern Warfare 2 itself, I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it because when I think Call of Duty, this for me just feels very not what Call of Duty should be, if that makes sense. And I kind of have like this thing where I hate Fortnite, so when you take Call of Duty, which I somewhat kind of enjoy, and then mix it with something I hate, I thought it would be an awful experience. But I'll be honest with you guys, it's actually pretty fun. So the clear elephant in the room here is that this game mode is the gateway drug for Fortnite addicts into the Call of Duty universe. It's pretty clear what they were targeting as far as their demographic when they were attempting to develop and implement this game mode, and I think it works pretty well. I can already say this is easily a more enjoyable experience than playing Fortnite. That game is awful, and I just can't stand it, but that's a different video for a different time. Right now, let's focus on the positives of this experience. The weapons and gunplay in third-person mode feel a bit easier to aim your shots and land your shots, if that makes sense. I'm not really sure why that would be. I think it might have something to do with the fact that when you zoom in, you're not losing any of your visibility like you would if you're in first person aiming down a sight. And the recoil is a bit more controllable and easily more manageable in third person mode. I'm getting a lot of vibes here from like the old SOCOM games on the PlayStation, as well as the original Battlefront from like 2004. And it's a lot of fun, you know. It's something different. It's refreshing, and I hope, thankfully, right now, you know, the game mode is very popular, so I could no problem finding rooms in quick match. The mosh pit, you know, I'm averaging probably maybe a 5 to 10 second wait between rounds, so it's kind of cool to see that populated. But you know, third-person shooters have a bit of a stigma around them in regards to them being competitive because you have certain things such as corner peeking, where you can hide behind cover and use the centers and the sides of your screen to kind of look around corners, so I get where that can be an issue. But really, the best way to look at this game mode isn't from a competitive standpoint. This is just for fun, and it does a great job doing that. Honestly, this feels to me polished enough to where if Call of Duty would have just released this game mode as the whole game, like if they built a Call of Duty title from the ground up around third-person mode, I think it would do very well. I think that this is an experience that could be built on, and it could really develop into its own kind of niche Call of Duty experience if they were to put some more dev time into it and maybe some more game modes, maybe some more mechanical changes that kind of make this game mode feel like it's its own and not just a different FOV of first person. For the last few years, I think Call of Duty as a whole has a pretty bad stigma associated with it in regards to its player base being immature and sweaty. And what I love about this game mode is if you attempt to sweat in it, you're going to look stupid. It's not the game mode to sweat in. This is a true arcade shooter experience packaged within a Call of Duty game. And I feel like that's where Call of Duty lives best, in an arcade environment. And I know right now there's a lot of talk between streamers and people who have been, you know, playing Call of Duty for a long time, where they're like, oh, the changes in Modern Warfare 2 have really taken it away from it being arcadey, and now it's more realistic. And, you know, clearly these people have never played an actual, you know, milsim or realism style FPS game, because they'd be complaining if they did. I don't think any of the changes in Modern Warfare 2 in regards to the realism or any addition thereof has made the game any less arcadey. This still feels like Call of Duty. It feels more polished. Things like slide canceling reload, I'm glad it's out of the game for the most part. You know, I think that players should be punished if they reload at incorrect times. If you have such awful in-game awareness that you have to slide cancel a reload because you couldn't figure out the correct time to reload, you should be punished for that. So I'm actually really happy that they implemented that. And then a lot of these pro players are saying, oh, well, they're just trying to lower the skill ceiling. Well, I don't consider slide canceling a skill issue. I also think that the third-person game mode really adds something here to the experience. Different animations, like if you notice when the character is aiming down sights, strafing left to right, there's a bit of a head bobble there, as if, you know, there's actually some input happening. It's kind of a cool little detail. Reloads look interesting from the third-person perspective, depending on what weapon you have. Being able to see your secondary weapon either holstered or on your back is a really kind of a cool visual aid. And I think that luckily, because the game itself is just, you know, a AAA title, and it is, in my opinion, a beautiful game, and the animations are very smooth and fluid, it's a really refreshingly visual experience being in third person. You know, the character models interact with the environment. When you go from a mounted position to a sprint, it's very fluid, it's not jarring or janky, and it all looks intentional. Movement feels very intentional, which is another good plus. Doesn't feel like you're moving on skates. There's some momentum to the way that you move about the map and the way that you choose to enter into an angle, whether you know, double shift run into it or you just sprint into it. Engagement angles feel and play differently in third person because you have a bit of a wider view angle. So it's cool, you know. I don't know if I see myself playing this all the time, but it's definitely a lot of fun to do something a bit different. And I've been having a really enjoyable time leveling up some weapons. Like, for example, I was working on some of the battle rifles, where for me personally, I'm not really a fan. I seem to always get owned with them. When I'm using like the M14 and such in game, I just get outgunned. But using it in this game mode here, it just feels like they're more, you know, a bit more OP. I'm not sure if it's just placebo or if, like I said before, maybe the recoil feels a little bit easier to control in third person. But it's fun, you know? It really does remind me of like the old SOCOM games on the PlayStation, or, you know, even like The Division, that third-person Tom Clancy game where you could, you know, have mountable cover and move around. It was kind of cool, and it's kind of cool to see something a bit different again. So those are my initial first impressions regarding the third-person game mode in Modern Warfare 2, and for the most part, it is an overall positive experience. I do have a few minor takeaways that are negative. One of them being, I'm not sure if this is something that I can toggle or turn off, but on my aiming reticle, anytime that I have cover in between me and the thing I'm aiming at, there's a little white X that pops up that kind of jankily moves around your screen. And it's a little bit jarring, and it's kind of makes you want to stroke out when you're really moving between cover and you see this little white X pop up and bounce around all over the place. So I don't know if I can turn that off. Maybe down in the comments, if you guys know how to turn that off, you can kind of help me out there. But I went through the settings and I couldn't find it. Another thing that I kind of disliked a little bit about it was that some of the, I mean, it really kind of makes using a scope on any of your weapons kind of just a moot point. I'm not sure if the attributes that are given to the weapon in the first-person version of the game mode carry over into third-person. And what I mean by that is if you have a scope that reduces, let's say, your aim-down sight speed, I'm not really sure if that would translate in third-person. I'm assuming it does. But so far I've tried out some sniper rifles and some bolt-action battle rifles or whatever they call them. And I did notice that the scope didn't activate. So I'm not sure if I pick an actual sniper rifle in third person if that scope would actually show up and activate, or if it would continue to just be an over-the-shoulder experience for that. So that's really all I have for you guys in this video. Just some housekeeping announcements. Please keep an eye on the community tab. I do post some polls there weekly where I'll kind of talk about some upcoming ideas I have for videos, and you guys get to vote and decide what I do next with the channel. So right now, last week, we did have the off-meta win by a pretty large margin regarding the next video I post, and I am going to be uploading that this upcoming week. It's just taking a bit longer than I anticipated, unlocking attachments for the M4, so I'm just kind of waiting until I have some really stupid ones unlocked so that when I make the awful weapon, it's actually a horrible experience and you guys hopefully laugh at me. So yeah, that's coming up here pretty soon. But other than that, guys, I really appreciate all the support. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you in the next one. Golga out.
I say the future!